Good morning, everyone. Today in history, we are going to see the chapter number 6, Weavers, Iron Smelters, and Factory Owners. So, the picture which you are seeing here is the trading ships on the port of Surat in the 17th century. Surat in Gujarat, on the west coast of India, was one of the most important ports of the Indian Ocean trade. Dutch and English trading ships began using the port from the early 17th century. Its importance declined in the 18th century. So, in this chapter, we'll tell the story of the crafts and industries of India during British rule by focusing on two industries, that is, namely, textiles and iron and steel. Both these industries were crucial for the industrial revolution in the modern world. Crucial here means extremely important. In the 19th century, mechanized production of cotton textiles made Britain the foremost industrial nation, and Britain came to be known as the workshop of the world when its iron and steel industry started growing from the 1850s. The industrialization of Britain had a close connection with the conquest and colonization of India. Here, conquest meaning an area of land that has been taken, and colonization means colonization occurs when a country or a nation takes control of other lands, regions, or territories outside of its borders. So, in chapter 2, we have already learned how the English East India Company's interest in trade lead to occupation of territory and how the pattern of trade changed over the decades. Firstly, they came for doing trade, for the purpose of trade. Slowly, they started occupying the Indian territory. In late 18th century of the company was buying goods in India and exporting them to England and Europe, making profit through this sale. With the growth of industrial production, British industrialists began to see India as a vast market for their industrial products. And over time, the manufactured goods from Britain began flooding India. So, how did this affect Indian crafts and industries? This question we will explore in this chapter. Now, let us see textile, Indian textile and the world market. Around 1750, before the British conquered Bengal, India was by far the world's largest producer of cotton textiles. Indian textiles had long been renowned both for their fine quality and exquisite craftsmanship. Exquisite means here extreme, extremely beautiful, finely done and made. They were extensively traded in Southeast Asia, that is Java, Sumatra, and Penang, and West and Central Asia. Here, extensively means widely. The widely traded in Southeast Asia and West and Central Asia. From the 16th century, European trading companies began buying Indian textiles for sale in Europe. Memories of this flourishing trade and the craftsmanship of Indian weavers is preserved in many words that we will read further, still current in English and other languages. It is interesting to trace the origin of such words. Let us see what they tell us. So, here the picture which you are seeing here is Patola weave of mid 19th century. Patola was woven in Surat, Ahmedabad and Patan. Highly valued in Indonesia, it became part of the local weaving tradition there. Now, let us see the words tell us history. Which are the words? European traders first encountered fine cotton cloth from India, carried by Arab merchants in Mosul in present day Iraq. So, they began referring to all finely woven textiles as muslin. Muslin is a cotton fabric of plain weave. It is used in dressmaking, furniture polishing. It is a fine and smooth cloth. When the Portuguese first came to India in search of spices, they landed in Calicut on the Kerala coast in southwest India. The cotton textiles which they took back to Europe along with these spices, they came to be called calico, which is derived from Calicut. And subsequently, calico became the general name for all the cotton textiles. So there are many other words which point to the popularity of Indian textiles in Western markets. In figure 3 is this figure which you are seeing here is of an order book that the English East India Company sent to its representatives in Calcutta in 1730. The order that year was for 5,89,000 pieces of cloth. Browsing through the order book, you would have seen a list of 98 varieties of cotton and silk cloths. These were known by their common name in the European trade as piece goods. Usually woven cloth pieces that were 20 yards long and 1 yard wide. Now look at the names of the different varieties of cloth in the book. Amongst the pieces ordered in bulk. Bulk means that is in a large quantity, where printed cotton clothes called chins. Chins here means a shiny cotton cloth with printed design, usually a flowers, which is used for making curtains, covering furniture, etc. Then courses was printed cotton cloth. Its another name is kasha. At that time it was in high demand. British government liked it most. Then comes bandhana. Bandhana refers to any brightly colored and printed scarf for the neck or head. Originally, the term derived from the word bandhana, that is in Hindi for tying, and referred to a variety of brightly colored cloth produced through a method of tying and dyeing. Dyeing means color cloth with a substance containing coloring matter. Then again, do you know where the English term chins come from? It is derived from the Hindi word chint, a cloth with small and colorful flowery designs. From the 1680s, there started a craze for printed Indian cotton textiles in England and Europe, mainly for their exquisite floral design, fine texture, and relative cheapness. Rich people of England, including the Queen herself, wore clothes of Indian fabric. So, this cloth was very famous, including the Queen herself wore this fabric, wore the clothes of this Indian fabric. Now, let us see here one of the floral, that is Jamdani weave, it is called. It is of early 20th century. Jamdani is fine muslin on which decorative motifs are woven on the loom, typically in grey and white color. Often, a mixture of cotton and gold thread was used, as in the cloth in this picture. The most important centers of Jamdani weaving were Dhaka in Bengal and Lucknow in the United Provinces. Then, this is the next printed design on fine cloth chins produced in Masulipatam, Andhra Pradesh in mid 19th century. There were other clothes in the order book that were noted by their place of origin, like Kasim Bazar, Patna, Calcutta, Orissa, Charpur. The widespread use of such words shows how popular Indian textiles had become in different parts of the world. Now here let us see bandhana design. This is a bandhana design. Early 20th century it was produced. The line which you are seeing here in between, that runs through the middle of the cloth, this is that in this odhni, two tie and dye silk pieces are seamed together with gold thread embroidery. Bandhana patterns were mostly produced in Rajasthan and Gujarat. This much for today's class. Tomorrow we are going to see the topic Indian textiles in European market. Thank you very much, children.